Alright, I bet you thought you were never going to get this video. I'm sure you're probably like, this jerk got me for 10 bucks. Well, here we go. It's going to be a quick thing. I'm working on a project, so I thought I would go ahead and film it and get you this video, get you started. So wherever your Premiere resides, double click on that. Now typically when you click on your Premiere, all your latest projects are going to come up, the ones that you've saved recently. I'm working on one called Softball, so I'm going to double click on that and it should open up. Takes a second to load all the video and stuff. Watch my mouse pointer here. And this is where I last left off. I've got a couple sequences here of stuff that I last left off. Basically this is a large sequence of all these girls playing softball. You can see I'm clicking on this timeline marker right here and it'll advance me. You can also scrub it. This is called scrubbing when you click and hold. I put a time marker up here. Yours may not have that. Some of the things that you might find cool in this window is you can always choose to fit your video. And in here you can minimize or make your timeline as big as possible. You'll see mine is kind of different. I don't like it very cluttered. I like to have a clear timeline. So this is the way I have mine set up. My project is in here with all the files that I've imported. My son's home, so I'm going to click off for a second. Okay, back at it. Basically, if you twirl this little thing down, if you push fit, that video will always fit in here. And I tell you that because sometimes you get videos when they're 100%. See how that stretches out? This is in full high def. So you can size that to 50%. I usually work in 25%. I need to just see that. Notice these highlights up here. Anytime you click an area, it'll highlight it, and that's where you're working. So if you highlight this area and push the space bar, it's going to play from here. Hit the space bar again, it's going to stop. You click this area, you click the space bar, it's going to use these controls. You can go back and forth any place you want. Within here, this is your project menu. This is also where I keep my effects. I have two project windows here. And this is also where I keep my effect controls. I'm just going to show you a quick thing here. In my project here, I needed to make titles. I needed to pick out girls and get their best performance, and I had to put a title up here. So I want to show you how to do that title real fast because I know you do that as well. So you go to File, New, Title. And then it'll do the size of your video automatically. You can name it, okay? And then the video comes up. I already have a title right here, which I'm going to get rid of so you don't see it. But how I made this title was I quickly went to ShapeMaker right here, the rectangle tool. If you hover over any of them, you'll see that. I used the rectangle tool. I made it about this size. I made the fill type white. I'm going to change that to black. And then I'm going to go up here to the text tool, the T right here. Click T, and I'm going to put somebody's name in there. I'm just going to put Gary in there for now. And that's also black, so it's not going to work. So I'm going to choose a white in that fill. See where it says fill down here? And then when you click this move tool up here, the selection tool, you can move that anywhere you want. And to make that a little fancier, I'm going to click on the square and I'm going to give it an outer stroke of white. And that just breaks it apart. Now you see it's in the middle of the video and everything. That's okay because it's already made. You can also choose these presets down here, by the way, for your text. If you want a fancier text or something. I just use the plain white one. When you close out of this, it'll appear down here in your project window. And then you can click and drag that on top of your video. See, this is video 1, video 2, video 3, audio 1, audio 2. So you can stack tracks on top of them. When you stack this on top of each other, see how it appears over here on your video? You could also lengthen it by clicking and dragging the end. And if you just click it to highlight it, if you hit Control D, it'll automatically fade it in, fade it out. And that is found in Effects, Video Transition, dissolve. Cross dissolve is my, you can also grab it out of there and slap it in any of these. And that'll make it dissolve up. See how it'll fade up? See where it says Gary over here on the right? Watch, it'll fade up. Ad didn't show because the preview's not previewing right, but I have it right here if you ever want to use that dissolve. But the shortcut is Control D. So anyway, I have your title down here, and see if I click on that title and then I go to Effect Controls, see up here in the top left where my mouse is at? Effect Controls. Now if you twirl down the motion part of it, whatever you have highlighted is what you're going to be controlling. So make sure you don't have any other videos highlighted, that you have the title highlighted. And if you click on motion, it'll put handlebars here. That'll allow you to free motion the size. Click and drag it, move it where you want. You can have multiple titles, so you can put this one up here, put another one, space it down here. You can also change your scale by scrubbing. Look at top left. See how I'm scrubbing this? I'm clicking and holding and scrubbing it down to get the size right. You can also do that with the position. See how it's moving just a little bit? And I'm scrubbing that number. See my mouse thing right here? You can also, real quick, I'm going to show you how to do a keyframe real fast. If you click this little time watch, it gives you a keyframe. Okay, keyframe means that's a setting where it's at that moment, that position, and I'm going to set another one for scale. Now I'm going to fast forward my timeline a few seconds, and then a few seconds later I want it to appear right here, and I want it to be this big. Okay, see the new keyframes? Now to go from this keyframe to the next, push the space bar. That's advanced, but that's how you look at this over at how I did that and slow it down. These are your key toggle animation. When you turn those on, they'll put a keyframe there. Then if you move forward anywhere, if you move forward using this timeline scrubber, it'll show up in here. And then whatever you change it to, it'll put another keyframe. Make sure to save your project often, as is right here. When you go to do a new sequence, you just push File, New Sequence. Try to use the same settings that you used before. You can name it. It'll give you this whole sequence. And what that's good for is keep your original here. And then if you need to work on a little bit of stuff, select the stuff that you need to work on, Control, copy, and then paste just that part into your new sequence. And then that way your original sequences stay the same. And you can do, part 2. Then you can open this one. You can copy these, put these into a new one, put a different title on it. But you have all of your originals so that if you do ever need them, you can go back. Control Z takes you back as far as you want if you mess up. It's an undo. You can also look at your history by going to Window, looking at your history, and your history will show up someplace weird. And you can go through your history and say you want to go all the way back to when you used the selection tool 10 moves ago. You can go back. So that history is a good one to have. Any of these will show Capture, Project, Program Monitor. This is what you have showing. If you're ever missing anything, you can always bring them up here. Make sure you save often, and when you're done, make sure you on your sequence, if you want to export, highlight it so it's got a yellow, go to File, Export, Media. Now remember, when we're doing that, you can just match your sequence settings and be perfectly safe by clicking this button, and it'll match exactly what you have in here. But let's say it's going on YouTube or something. You can always go on this format and do, say, an MPEG-4. That's what I like to use. Or even a QuickTime file. And then you can choose a, let me go to QuickTime. And then in QuickTime, let me see, what else do I have up here? Let's try H.264. There we go. When I choose this H.264, that's a high definition format. And I can choose if I'm going to an Android phone, Apple TV, just regular HD, and all these settings. Or if you're going to YouTube, you can use these settings. If you want 720p, 30 frames per second, or full 1080p. I think a lot of your videos were 720p, 29 point. So we choose that and it'll be automatically set. One thing we want to make sure is that we're on progressive scan. We're using a high profile. This file is only going to be 30 megs. If you did want to increase the quality, you move this bar up. That's the target bit rate. And see, if I move that from 5 to 8, look at the size of your file. It went to 51 megs. And that's just because it puts more information. It looks better. So if you export it and you say, oh man, it looks like crap, it's blurry or something, you can always try knotting this up. Anything between 7 and 10 is going to be great quality. 5 is good quality. And that's all you really need to know. Click on this to choose where to export it. You can choose a file. I'm on a Mac, so I'm just going to, I've got a lot of folders here, but click whatever folder you want, and it'll export there. You export the audio and the video. And like I said, once you check these things, you're pretty safe. And it'll click export when you're ready, and it'll start